Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring the new Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit for October, which is like a scene building kind of for the holidays. It's got a lot of solid stamps in it. It's a lot of fun. So here I am using the Hero Arts watercolor cardstock. Their cardstock is comes as 8.5 by 5.5, so it's super easy to cut it in half and then get two A2 size cards. I don't do a lot of watercolor projects where I actually need to tape down my projects, but this one you do need to tape because we're using so much water. If you're questioning my beautiful board in the background, this was actually a Christmas gift from my husband, Emily Midget. You guys probably know her from card making. She's also on the Hero team. She and her husband make these watercolor boards. So that's Emily's illustration, and then her husband builds the board. It does prop up in the back. It's got like a little hinge on it to prop it so you can tilt while you're painting. And obviously you can customize it as mine is, and they're beautiful. So when you're taping, you do want to pay attention that your taping is even around your edges, because you will be able to see those white edges unless you choose to cut your cardstock down. I didn't. I just left the white edges. That's why I was so careful in my taping to make sure that it was even. I've got my clean water, dirty water. I always keep just a water bottle on my desk so that I can fill it. And then I'm using a 1-inch paintbrush. You can use whatever you have, but we are going to completely saturate this thing with water. I left it all in. It is a little bit sped up, but we're going to go over this so many times to make sure that the background is completely saturated. You don't want water bubbled up on top, but you do want it saturated. That's why I keep going back over, working that water in there, so that it's a nice, even, smooth surface, but everything is wet, because that's how this is going to work, and we're going to really easily be able to paint some northern lights. This was from me earlier practicing, and you'll see those practice pieces at the end. I am using Hero Arts liquid watercolors for this. I used 4 colors total. I used teal, deep ocean, indigo, and pink. But you could obviously make your northern lights whatever color you would like, and I will show you, like I said, my other practice pieces at the bottom. So the paintbrush that I'm working with is a number 8 round brush, but again, you can use whatever works for you. I just wanted to put this palette up here so you guys would be able to see what I was using. One last coat of water before we get into it, and then I'm going to water down the indigo just a little bit to kind of start painting in my darker areas. You want to work in like rays, so like little triangles. That way you have some white triangles that are left, which is where we're going to put our color later, and some darker triangles. Watercolor dries back much lighter, so you're going to want to go even darker than you think you want it. It's going to be you have to make it so dark, and you're going to be like, oh, this is hideous. But it won't be in the end, I promise. Just hang tight. So as far as, I'm going to keep layering this. So I started with the indigo, and now I'm going in with the deep ocean, and then eventually I'll move to the teal. These are relatively quick. I mean, they're a pretty fast process. So this video is not very long. I don't think I have too much room for story time. I'll try to fit in when I can, but just know this week will probably be a pretty heavy video week. So don't worry, like, there will be stories. It might not just be in this one. But so as I sit here talking to you, I am in my newly redone craft room, which is amazing. We did manage to get it done in one weekend, which is unbelievable. So here I've moved on to the teal. You can see everything is pretty dark at this point. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have went even lighter. Liquid watercolors from Hero Arts reconstitute really well. So I didn't even add any new ink. I just used what was dry already on my palette and brought a wet paintbrush to it, and I was able to get enough pigment This is the stage of the painting where it is so ugly. You are like, never mind. Why did I even try this? This is hideous. And currently, you are correct. You are accurate. This is not a pretty watercolor painting, but you got to push through. You got to push through it because it's always moving and it's always changing. We're going to switch now to a lift technique. So we have a damp paintbrush that has no pigment on it, and we're going to remove pigment from the watercolor piece. So you need to make sure as you're going through that you are wiping off your brush or rinsing it and then wiping it every time, because you have to get rid of the pigment you're picking up. You'll see here in a moment where I kind of just got sidetracked with what I was doing and I didn't rinse it off. And then I ended up leaving like this blue streak in my very light bottom. There it is. And I just went back over it. I rinsed off my brush and then went back over it and was able to remove it. But you will redeposit pigment if you don't keep your brush clean. And you're just going to do this until you're happy with as many light areas as you have. So I kind of did in almost like a I don't want to say a swirl pattern, like an S pattern, to remove some of the pigment, because I wanted there to be some highlight areas, but still maintain some of the darkness. Here I did it again where I didn't clean off my brush good enough. And this can get a little bit easy to overwork. You have to make sure that you're working with pretty decent watercolor paper, because we do use so much water with this technique. Like the Canson XL watercolor paper is not going to cut it. But anywho, once I'm done and I'm happy with removing all of it, I did speed it up, but I left the camera sit so that you could kind of watch the dry time and how it changes and how much lighter it gets from one to the other. This video is part of a blog hop for Hero Art, and there's always prizes and kits to be won. So I will link that below if you're watching on YouTube so that you can head over there and participate to comment to win. Here, all I'm doing is I'm not touching my actual painting. I'm just absorbing the extra water and paint that is around that's left on the tape. So that way when I go to remove it after it's completely dry, I don't have to worry about recontaminating my painting. So yeah, my mom and my middle sister came over on Friday. So I guess not technically in the weekend. We did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was still working. I was still trying to get stuff done. And actually, I was going to put a video up this weekend, and it just did not happen. I had planned on maybe trying to get it done after they left, but it was so exhausting that it just didn't even happen. So Friday, we kind of like scooped everything out of the room. And then Saturday, we went through things. I was just absolutely ruthless with getting rid of things. And now I have the whole bottom of my closet is just giveaway stuff, boxes and boxes of stuff to do mystery boxes with. So I started to remove it, and then I realized I needed to do my paint splatters. So this is it completely dry, and obviously it's much lighter than when it was wet, and that's why I said I wish maybe I would have gone a hair darker. I didn't. I'm still happy with it. It's a pretty piece, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to use white acrylic paint. You could use gouache if you have it for your watercolors, or like Copic makes a opaque white ink that would also work. But this acrylic paint is 59 cents at Walmart, and I'm okay with it. So I just use a stiff bristled brush to kind of spatter on some stars. It looks more like snow to me, probably because the sky is not as dark. But since my stamp scene is a bit more winter, I'm totally okay with it being snow and not stars. And again, those do dry back a bit. So there's a whole bunch of scenes that you can build with this particular set, and I think that that's wonderful. If you guys saw my countdown card from over the weekend, I had a card up on Saturday. It did not include a video, but I actually stamped it in the Christmas tree in a light green ink and then colored it with my Copics. That's another way that you can do it. But here I just wanted the silhouette because I wanted the sky to kind of be the star of the show. Like these northern lights above this little town or village I thought was super cute. So I'm just stamping it in pitch black ink. Just Hero Arts black, and I did stamp it twice to get a nice good solid image, and then I'm going to die cut it using my Hero Arts. It's a mini cutter. I think it probably has a fancy name. Compact cutter, that's what it's called, which is really handy. And actually this one, what I like about it is there's no doors that fold out. So when they say compact, they mean it. Like, it's very small. And it doesn't fold out to take up any extra space, which is nice. So, yeah, I was just ruthless in getting rid of the stuff that I did not use. Most of it is new. Isn't that sad? A lot of it is just new product. Some of it is used, but a lot of it is new, and it just kind of breaks my heart that to not give it to somebody who will use it. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is, instead of, before I was talking about doing the price points where I did like $25, $50, $100 boxes, I think what I might end up doing is just going and buying the flat rate boxes and then just shoving them full to the brim and then just doing one price point. I feel like that may be the easiest way to get all of this stuff into crafty hands that will actually be able to utilize it. So now at this point, I am removing my tape. I did have a little bit of a bleed in the top left corner, but nothing that I'm totally stressing about. And then I went back and forth about whether or not to pop up my image or glue it flat. I also could have just stamped it on the piece. I chose to do the die cut so that I would have the option. I actually did end up adhering it down flat, and then I picked a very small sentiment that would go with the, the little tiny village, but not detract from the sky that we've created. And I think that it fits. I think that it works well. So we'll have more story time about the craft room redo when we have a little bit more time to talk about it. But if you guys aren't familiar with the hero kits, if you're a subscriber, you're guaranteed one. If you're not a subscriber, like when they're gone, they're gone. So if you're interested in this kit, I would pick it up ASAP because they don't replace them. So here is where I was deciding popping it up or adhering it flat, and I just decided to adhere it flat. I don't know. I felt like the popping it up would take away from the background. Like it would, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm just using my Hero Arts precision glue to put this down and put this into place. It does still have the white behind it, but I think that it's still okay. I think that it still works because like the roofs would be snow covered and that would be white. So I was okay with leaving it. All I'm doing here is just adding a little bit of glitter to the, the kind of snowy parts. And then here's those practice pieces I was telling you about. So this one actually has no color in it. The middle one has no color. It's just all the blues. And then the one on the right, I put in a little bit of green. And I think both of them are super pretty. So those are also other options. I do like the pink though, like the pinkish purple vibe I think is really cool. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I genuinely appreciate your time. And I will catch you on the next video. Bye.